Mr. Mansfield, will you go ahead and give us the invocation?
Yes, sir. Let's pray. Dear Jesus, we just thank you for your goodness and your mercy that are new every morning, and your faithfulness is great, Lord. And we thank you for your joy that is our strength. And Lord, we just praise your name. We bless you. We bless those who persecute us, and those who spitefully mistreat us, Lord. We send blessings back on our county, blessings on our county employees, blessings on the citizens, God, for health and prosperity and abundance, Lord Jesus, Father God, that you would be with hurting families who aren't able to make ends meet in the climate we're in right now, economic climate, Lord, and the families that are struggling, God, that you would be as you give us wisdom and discernment, knowledge and revelation on how to conduct county business to the best of our abilities on behalf of those who elected us to be their voices, and bless this great county and this great state, this great nation in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All righty. I'd entertain a motion. Before we do this, without objection, I'd like to make the following changes to the agenda. On item, under the report of the finance director, item number 5, new item number 5 will be insurance for the new courthouse. Probably an important item. Under new business, new business B appropriations, we're going to add an item number 3, which is $7,100 funding for an EMA drone that was broken while in use. And item number 4 would be appropriation of $40,000 for carpet replacement of Gallatin Library. So with those changes, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Can you repeat that last?
Yeah.
That last one.
E is under new business B. 2E is EMA drone funding, and what do you say?
It is. Sorry, you're right. Not 3 and 4. It should be D is 7,100 EMA drone, and then E is 40,000 carpet for the Gallatin Library.
Okay, so the major change.
Correct. So I'd entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All righty. Do I see on here a public comment? I don't know where I don't see one. I don't have that on my.
I printed this one off.
Yeah. So okay.
No, I got A, B, and C.
I would like to. I know we just approved this agenda. I would like to entertain a motion to add as item D.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
For comments of the public, and we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. So public comments will be under item 1D. Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
Yeah, they're not complete.
We're going to present it next month. We're busy.
So we'll just defer this then. How about that? I think I can just defer that one. Okay, public comments. Mr. Mansfield, here we go. Ms. Charlene Allman.
Hi, I'm Charlene Arnold at 143 Berlin Circle, Henderson, 2375. And I attended both of the subcommittee meetings. Well, it was one meeting, but it's 3 subcommittee meetings. And I thought there was a lot of good work that was done there. I thought the finance department did an excellent job of requesting data from the surrounding counties, gathering and organizing it, and the committee did a great job of analyzing it. Hats off to Commissioner Boyd, Chief Deputy Craddock, and definitely Finance Director Vaughn. I have 2 things that I'd like to point out, though. I know there's been concern about the SRO funding not being codified. even if it is codified, it can go away. So maybe ask for it to be considered to as a modification to KISA some way somehow. It's like even though that would be for school, but even that can go away as it was discussed before. I talked with Representative Lambert on Wednesday to ask him for more information about the state funding, and he was very adamant that it wouldn't go away. And towards the end of our conversation, we said, well, maybe if it ever does go away with the state, maybe they could consider reducing the MOE. And it sounds like there may have been some movement on that based on the legislative committee discussion. Now, even though I was thinking of that, like there could be a reduction of MOE if the state funding went away, there was an important thing that was said during the subcommittee meeting on Friday from Chief Deputy Craddock, and that is, regardless of the funding and the revenue, our law enforcement needs to be paid, and that is our job. It has been made easier with this grant that's coming from the state to pay for our SROs that we've already been paying for, but it is our job to ensure that we are funding our law enforcement to make sure that we have a safe and secure community. So he said it a little differently, but that's basically the point that he said. And so I would say, while the state has made it easier to fund it, in order to maintain the quality of law enforcement, I do hope that you guys will approve the increases to the salary. And when you do the approval of the increases to the salary, I hope that you will also allow for flexibility for the sheriff to be able to run his office. Because while there was so much data that you did get and that you were able to analyze, everybody knows that you don't know how things are going to land. And then also Wilson County is doing their analysis right now. It's going to be a moving target and a changing market, a changing target. And I understand that you guys want to come back here and constantly look at the salaries. So this is what you guys propose, and then the sheriff is an elected official who is held accountable to us if the sheriff's office isn't able to do well, if it's adequately funded. So I would hope that we can allow the sheriff to be able to do his job as well. Thank you so much for your hard work and for considering this, and I do hope that you improve the increase in funding. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Laura Baker.
Laura Baker, 424 A.B. Wade Road. Thank you for committing to letting us speak. I also wanted to speak on the funding for the SROs and this ongoing discussion. I spoke at the commission meeting last month and wanted to assure the folks that we do back the blue. And some of the comments that were made that make it seem like it's an either or, that's just not true. In the past, it's something that my husband and I, for 9 years, have railed about not doing the work that the commission needs to do when all this stuff gets dumped in your lap. And what the work that was done in this last week, to get the information and to put this together in such a comprehensive way, nobody's ever done anything like this, I would bet, anywhere in the state. And I just applaud David Long and his group. All of you worked so hard. Commissioner Boyd and Chief Deputy Craddock. I mean, it was a long, I watched the videos. I couldn't be here for the whole thing, but I watched the videos, and it was a long haul to put this together. What it did bring out, like we've had other studies that have shown pay discrepancies, where some people are paid more and some people are paid less. And I just encourage you, I know the sheriff has autonomy in this, but I don't want this to continue where there's people, it's out of whack. And there's nothing that demoralizes people more than a lack of fairness. And when you see some people are getting paid this and other people are getting paid that, those things need to get reconciled. And, you know, like a flat rate for everybody just does not seem right when some people are paid so much lower than what's going on in the market. We want the people to be paid. And that is things that we need to step up for. And there's a lot of other things that we shouldn't. And I just wish everybody had been out here when we're spending money on things like that. Like I mentioned at the last county commission meeting. We're going to have overhead now, hauling people back and forth from one place to another that wasn't factored into anything. And this stuff should have been going into pay for our people. Also, two portions of property tax increases that were supposed to fund SROs. And I know it takes time to recruit and hire and all that, but where is that money? And why didn't it go to these people all along? See, taxpayers have been footing the bill. We've been paying for it. It's not been getting to the people the way we want it to. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. I've got a nothing major on my report, but I did want to address something because I've fielded several phone calls on this item. And so I just want to address it briefly. So I fielded several phone calls relevant to funding to address broken bleachers. And there was a specific request to add some items to the budget agenda. And you'll notice that we did add a couple items here, but those items were for $7,000 and $40,000 respectively. Kind of a bit different, a couple orders of magnitude different than what we have being looked at for the schools. Additionally, there is a special call session on Friday. So I just want to put this out there for the record that we have, Mr. Brown has called a special call education meeting for Friday, and I have requested through the law office a special call meeting for next Monday. Following that, special call meeting from education, assuming something comes out of that to address this in a timely fashion. And I just maybe want to make one final comment here because I left for about a week and paid attention, and there's been a bit of swirl over this item. The practice of government is a practice of balance, and what this commission is trying to do, what this committee is trying to do, is make sure that our staff across the county are fairly treated in terms of pay. We don't have a lot of autonomy when it comes to policy, and we shouldn't, but we're trying to be fair and also fair with market. I know Mr. Ellis has spoken to me about some folks who have left his department. So we knew this year was going to be tight, and we are doing our best to control spend on the nice-to-haves so that we can do things across the county on the needs-to-have. So I'll be quiet here, but I wanted to make that comment because I know there's been a lot of swirl. So that is my report, Mr. Mayor.
There's one item under the report of the mayor, and that's the archives roof. The RFQ is out, due back November 2nd.
Thank you, sir. Any action needed? Thank you, sir. Mr. Long.
I think item A was clarifications on the sheriff's salary study subcommittee, but I think we can actually cross that out because the committee's done at this point. We actually have the report under old business at this time.
Okay.
We can actually conclude that. Item 2, revenue analysis, we'll have one next month. We're running a bit behind. Some of the projects is kind of taxed us, so
that is understandable.
The second day is the mayor. It's a request for the first item is transfers received between major categories. Is to correct revenue accounts for the opioid settlement. The state has provided new account numbers to separate from the restricted and unrestricted for opioid. And it's a simple classification. There's no need to go to county commission on requesting this particular change. It's just a classification.
So I would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item 2A is for the county mayor. The employee was brought in before the end of the fiscal year, and he actually brought the employee for slightly more than the budget amount, with $1,350, and he's asking to transfer that from another line item.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a second? I'll second it, even if just for discussion. Any discussion here?
So this,
Go ahead, Mr. Klein.
so this is an assistant in the mayor's office?
I can kind of explain why.
Go ahead, Mr. Warren.
When the mayor made the offer, there was some flux about the coming year's budget. The cost of living was moving up and down. So the offer he made was based on the cost of living numbers before they would increase. So he made this employee inadvertently a higher offer than he has in the budget.
And so he had the extra money in communications and data processing?
We hope so. He's really tired of it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So we estimate, Mr. Mayor, that there's going to be no net change for your department on this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
The next one's because IT department has some vacancies and they've maxed out on some of their comp time, so they need some additional funds. With the comp time payout, they're just asking to reclassify to overtime.
I would certainly entertain a motion for $88.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right.
The sheriff's also making a request to transfer $15,000 of unpaid NCIC salaries to be allocated to overtime for the same issue, the extra workload and the vacancy.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Klein. Any discussion on this one? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Item number D is when the county over time has been trying to track more and more things. The EMS service has two groups of ambulances, one called ALS, which is Advanced Life Support, and one called BLS, and ALS is your, in the long run, is your more profitable the BLS is the more profitable. So we started tracking these a couple of years ago, and we're just asking you to transfer between those two types of overtime, where we can adequately track BLS versus ALS.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Klein.
What does ALS stand for in BLS?
Advanced ones.
Advanced
Life
and basic.
Support, BLS.
Basic.
Basically, advanced services, basically.
And one of the reasons we want to track it is because in the past, your basic life support is actually profitable and it helps subsidize part of your advanced life support. And the way it's set up right now in the county, it allows other providers in the county, so that's something that we want to track to determine in the long run, is it better for the county to put on more ambulances and do all the BLS, because we do have the rights not allowed in the county. That's the reason for this.
So this is an accounting move in order to better understand inflows and outflows between ALS and BLS.
We can track them for you.
Yeah, got it. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Item E is a request that Toby made last month, because he wanted to reclassify a fuel truck driver to a mechanic, and that's when you theoretically passed last month when I bring it back to present it to you.
We have a motion. We have a second from Mr. Klein. Any discussion here?
I have a question.
Mr. Klein?
So the truck driver is going to become a mechanic?
Yes, sir, he said he needed a mechanic. He said the guy has been, what he told you last month, unless Toby's here, but as far as I can recollect, he said the guy's been doing more things for the mechanic the whole time in classified.
So is he gonna be doing both at the same time then, or?
That would be more of a Toby. My understanding is predominantly it's not all mechanic.
Do you need us to, are you good or are you going to go?
From my recollection, I could be, but I think that's what he told you last month.
Do you think he'll be looking for another employee to do the truck driving, or?
He said no.
He said no, okay, great. That's all I need.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Go ahead.
Item number 2, that's going to transfer $28,000 for some video equipment that's in a equipment line item. It's just a reclassification.
I entertain a motion. We have a motion from Mr. Klein.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Number 4 is the remaining of the inter-budgetary. Most if not all that's been moved already, and it's nothing really out of the ordinary for the county. Does anybody have any questions on any particular one?
The only one that jumped on me just in terms of size is the engineering services for the new transfer station, and that makes sense, but it's around $92,000. I don't know if you want to comment on that one.
Because we don't know how much it's going to be engineering, and at some point we think they're going to start construction. So at the beginning of each year, we've been classifying all of the cost of construction and then just reclassifying to engineering as we go along. And it should be somewhere toward the end of the same.
Mr. Klein?
Is this for site engineering, civil and structural? Or?
It's for the new transfer station at the resource authority.
Right, but it's for the construction documents?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Oh, okay.
And Ms. Boyd may know more about it. She's actually a member of the actual board.
Ms. Boyd, go ahead.
I've asked the board members if they're looking at it and how we're gonna be, overseeing the actual capital project costs. And I've asked them if they know how much we've spent already. They don't seem to be concerned about it.
Is it,
They're going to become concerned about it, I believe. But at this point, I didn't get anyone there that wanted to discuss with me the actual cost that we've already put into the engineering, which is, I think we're getting close to 500, maybe over.
I supplied it to you, and I can't recall off the top of my head.
500,000
Yes,
for civil engineering?
yes.
$13 some odd $1 million project.
Well, let me speak to that also,
Yeah, go ahead.
just so that there's no shock. 2021, we estimated $13 million bond. Everything's going up, so be ready, it might be a lot more.
so I would, and, you know, we went over this during legislative just now, and I think, Mr. Sidler, the unfortunate problem here is that we have kind of limited ability, we have limited sway over that board, but I mean, I would really, maybe without objection, I might just, if it's okay with this body, and if it's appropriate and there's nothing wrong with it, Mr. Sidler or Mr. Long, I may request some type of status report or understanding of that project, you know, as a complete project from the Resource Authority here. Is there anything wrong with me just asking that I mean, we're putting money into it little over little, and I know
So,
would that be helpful?
along with that, what I would suggest that you also become aware of is in the private act, it says that they cannot retain any money over actual expenses, and we're sitting on about $9 million surplus. So there's a lot of things that the commission might want to know about the Resource Authority. We can report to you the very basics, and we can definitely email everybody the financial statements, but to be honest with you, that's about all I got.
Okay.
We're not having a lot of financial discussion. Happy to report that we are hiring a new director, and we have bids out for the new transfer station.
Okay.
So we'll know what, hopefully we'll have a good bid number, and if there's gonna be a shocking new figure, we'll all be told.
And just to be clear here, I'm not suggesting that there's anything below board happening. I just,
Exactly.
you know, I just would like to know what we're putting
There's a lot of numbers.
money toward in what is effectively a recurring fashion here.
They need to be moving with haste with construction
Yeah.
because these bonds are taxable bonds. They're subject to arbitrage, so with the interest rates changing, the quicker we can spend it, the better it's going.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if they run short, and they don't have the funds, which sounds like they've got tons of funds right now, but if they did run short, just hypothetically, are we responsible financially for the finishing of the construction?
That's the problem with this private act.
You're
Yeah, we're on the hook. We have the liability.
Saying,
You're responsible for the three-sevenths of any deficit at the Resource Authority, but I dare say they would have to use the reserves first.
So, Ms. Mansfield.
We, send this to financial management as far as everything that.
I think really probably the best thing to do is wait back and see if Ms. Boyd can request the actual bids and when they
Yeah.
can see it. Because right now we have no data, so the bids will be back. What do you think?
We have two contractors that showed up to the pre-bid conference, and they requested an extension on the bid deadline. And we discussed that as a board early on and knew that we were gonna have to grant an extension. So by the time this board meets again next month, we'll know.
Okay. So, any other discussion on your budget here? I think we got our path
I
forward. So
just
go
have
ahead.
another question on the adjustment.
Go ahead.
It's completely immaterial. You have the 520 up here for annual inspection for sheriff's office fire extinguishers, but then you have it again down here something.
There's probably some exclusion of this.
Is it, they both say sheriff's, okay,
Do they have multiple buildings?
they went everywhere. Thank you.
And that is why Ms. Boyd is on special
Well,
assignment. That is a compliment, Ms. Boyd. I promise you. I promise you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
It's 100% a compliment. Any other discussion here?
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Well, actually, we had a motion for was it for approval or discussion?
You had made a motion about,
No, I seconded. I don't make motions in here. on my own committee generally.
Okay.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to approve this interbudgetary. Nothing?
So moved.
Mr. Mansfield,
Second.
and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All righty. Go ahead, Mr. Long, it's your
Can we
report.
go to the insurance?
Yes, please.
Right now, let me tell you kind of what, as far as where I think we're at today, and I just found out really today. As far as I can determine, and Mr. Sibley may have something else, is the building downtown at this point appears to be not insured. That's what I found out today in the completion report. We have $61,000 budgeted. I received a estimate for 173. I've asked it to be prorated to 120. They said the building's $130 million. It cost about 80 to build, and I think Mr. Sittler's sending our group over to look at the value. So what I'm requesting, even though we don't have enough money, is this committee support me as soon as Mr. Sittler can get the bill in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and pay the bill without the budget. Because we got an $80 million building city over there right now.
I've got to go.
So, okay, and I'm going to get in my own queue in a minute, but Mr. Sittler, then you, and then you. Go ahead, Mr. Sittler.
I've got a prorated amount, it's gonna be $127 to $120,000. $120,700.
Based on, and I've got that in there, it's based on $130 million, so.
Yes, now I have been told by, two different carriers we use regularly that that's an overestimate, and that if we do, turn this over to them for insurance purposes, they're gonna get a valuation and they expect it to come in under that, but they've gotta work, they're not gonna do the work until they know they've got the insurance, because they'll have to go and underwrite it and get the true valuation at that time. So that is the highest number I've ever received, and that's the 120.
Got it.
I can say we've got some below $80 million in the building.
Got it. Ms. Miller?
So if it's uninsured, did the insurance not paid out on the Archie fire a year ago?
That was while we were still under the builder's insurance. My understanding is the builder's insurance on October 10th or September 18th. I'm not really sure based on the documents that we were, Mr. Sibley to determine when that was. Basically, we took responsibility as far as I can tell at that date unless somebody sees something.
So, well, go ahead, Mr. Miranda, I'm going to get my own queue.
Well, I've been told by our broker that the builder's risk insurance is still in place until we get the CO. Turner is still on site doing work. So, according to our broker, we still have coverage. Now, having said that, I recommend that we do go ahead and get it in place to avoid any conflicts.
Okay, so this was going to, I had a question here, so just to make sure, and I'm glad that you just mentioned that. How do we find out about it, and who's responsible for making sure there's no gap? Okay.
That's what I was basing mine on. There's an actual occupancy signature on the 10. It says the owner's responsible begins 12 a.m. on September 18th, 2017. That's exactly correct. That's what we're looking at today. That's what came across my desk, is what I believe we have a potential concern about being insured.
Okay. We can thrash through who did what wrong later. I would entertain a motion to approve the finance director paying for this.
I'll make a motion to approve. We have no choice.
Up to, you want to make an exact, use this amount? 120, 700. So we have a motion to approve $120,700. We have a second?
Waive the second reading.
Yes.
Yeah.
You ready for the second? Okay, second reading and second is waived. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Let me make sure the committee's backing me up on this, because me and Mr. Sibley talked, technically we won't have an appropriation for the entire amount, but when that comes across my desk, unless somebody here objects, I plan to pay that bill.
That, we're shooting from the hip, so I do need confirmation as well that, we're gonna cut a check tomorrow probably, and, I was able to get with the carrier and they'll backdate it to 10/10.
May be able to even ACH it to them.
Okay. Mr. Long, any further report?
That's in my.
Okay, moving to old business here, item A, uncollected material receivable, this has been deferred, a couple times here. So, this is, I'll go ahead and make some comments on this. This is relevant to, reappraisal. Miss Karen Dixon from the city of Hendersonville asked me to put together a meeting with our county mayor, CTAS, Hendersonville mayor, and MTAS, and myself. So we just kind of sat down and really tried to understand what the difference here is. And I'm going to state something, we can do whatever we want, but I'm just going to kind of put forward what we learned there. At the end of the day, and I think there's not really a whole lot of new news here. At the end of the day, CTAS and MTAS have a different opinion about what counts as being bucketed for reappraisal. Mr. Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, but CTAS's opinion and our opinion is that the sum total of the operations of the tax assessor's office all ultimately roll up toward the reappraisal efforts. Whereas the MTAS and the city opinion is that only those costs which can be directly pointed toward a specific reappraisal event, or the reappraisal event, should be counted. Therein lies the disagreement. So really, in my view here, and I could be wrong, we've got only a couple options. We can sue and get a court opinion on this, or do we expect to have a further clarifying language on this from the General Assembly in the next session, and we can wait until we hear that language in order to determine our next action. So my take is that we should hold what we've got and wait on that, but I'm just one individual. So I would open the floor here for any motions.
Matt, can I mention one more thing? And I talked to Mr. Sitler, and he's confirmed my understanding. It's not technically due until after reappraisal. So at this point, I don't think we have anything to press forward until the reappraisal passes.
Okay.
So we'll have to wait till after the legislative session.
Thank you for that
So it
clarifying.
kind of makes it a moot point. You have to wait anyway.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We already have several municipalities that have paid their fair share.
But they're technically not due until after reappraisal.
But Portland has paid theirs.
They made us an offer for an amount that wasn't accepted.
Yeah, we're because it was not as much as what we.
It's not what.
Is there anybody who's paying?
Yes, there's the smaller cities,
The ones where it's.
the small, like Millersville, Mitchellville, and Westmoreland.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Are we going to have to reimburse them if we don't?
Ms. Miller?
The meeting that took place, when was that meeting? And first question, when was that meeting?
I don't recall now. Several weeks ago. I don't recall the date.
Was it an open meeting? Was it noticed?
It was not, and did not have to be because it was not a meeting with any decisions that was made on it, or with multiple delegates of a legislative body.
It'd been nice to have been aware.
So,
Go ahead.
So several items. I've spoken directly to the comptroller. So Bob was there at the meeting. I stood up. We had a conference, 400 people. I asked the comptroller, lots of county commissioners, we all want to know, because this affects all the counties in the state. The comptroller was very clear, and Bob can address this. He said, the state law says they owe you money. They need to pay you. That's it. And there was no extra word.
Ridiculed for not collecting.
For not collecting it. He ridiculed the county for not collecting the money. It was extremely clear.
Well, that's great,
Now,
but we've
let
only
me
got an
step
enforcement
into-
mechanism of
Now, let me
lawsuit.
step more into this. I don't know if y'all saw the article, the comptroller is recommending shorter appraisal cycles. This is gonna cost more money. It's gonna be a better system, I approve of that, but it's gonna cost more money because state law says we have to send somebody out to see every site. This means we're gonna have to have more employees in the appraiser office. So this is more cost to the cities also. So in the future, look for more cost.
So
Also, the cities don't recognize that we have a lot of costs. I mean, not only do we go out and we assess the property, we have to deal with it legally. When people don't pay, we have to deal with the court side. We have to deal with all of that. The county has a lot of responsibility. All the cities do is take the numbers, and then they apply their rate, and they go away. So when this law was made, it was made because we do all the work.
So do you have a motion for how we would go and collect that?
All I can tell you is
I wanna hear this.
I asked the comptroller, he said y'all need to
Well,
collect.
that's great. Is the
Yeah.
comptroller gonna go down to the mayor and force it out of his hands?
That just
This
means
is the real world. I mean, I'm not trying to be hardcore, I'm just like, what mechanism do we have?
Mayor Cleary said that,
I mean, we can sue.
I think he said that once it became clear what the law was, they were willing to pay. They had a receivable on the books.
But they are listening to they are listening to MTAS, who says that their interpretation of the law is different than what the comptroller says. So again, I'm happy that the comptroller agrees with us. What I'm just saying is that if the only motion I think we can do is.
I do have a motion.
Okay.
I think that our law director should send a letter, MTAS and CTAS both share the same law. I think he needs a letter, because his employees have created this situation, and we need to ask him.
I second that. That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
And do you have enough, have enough guidance?
I still think we're putting the cart in front of the horse here because the statute is clear. Absent any agreement between the county and the cities, they shall pay one half, as we all know, but this ends with, and shall pay those costs during the fiscal year in which the reappraisal is finalized.
Next year.
That's next year. So if we've got people that are paying ahead of the game, that's great. We don't have to reimburse them, but they get credit for that payment. If we enter into a contract with these cities, then or some sort of interlocal agreement or whatever, resolution, and they agree to pay on an annual basis, that's great. But absent any of those things, we've got to wait until, what did we decide, June?
2/30.
24.
And then we can say, that's fish or cut bait. We can send them a letter, like you suggested, straight to the cities, and if they don't pay, then they're right for a
Well,
lawsuit.
this is a different request, though.
I know what her request is, but this isn't the first time I've run into the MTAS-CTAS problem.
Can I change my request?
Go ahead.
I think we need to ask our state legislators, when they address this issue, having it paid in the year of the assessment is a problem for all entities involved, especially with us on a 5-year cycle. Because it builds up these huge numbers, which makes it difficult for anybody to turn over the multi-million-dollar checks. So I'd like to ask the state legislators, when they look at this issue, that we get paid on an annual basis. When they go tweaking this, if we could get payment annually opposed to at the end of the cycle.
I would maybe just note here, would you bring a resolution? Can you draft one and just bring it for consideration here next? That way we've got the language in front of us and can vote on it.
With that.
I mean,
Yeah,
it'd be your resolution.
Yeah, we need to have
It'd be your resolution. I mean, it'd be, okay, so with that,
So the legal, advice would be to wait until it's due before we make any movement. And in the meantime, we can make suggestions to our state representatives.
I would agree with that.
Thank
Okay.
you for that. So,
so are you withdrawing your motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any problem with getting ahead of the game? CTAS and MTAS all answer to the same guy. Getting ahead of the game for him to make a decision in advance so that we get the check right away. I mean, if they'd don't have to pay till June.
I mean, I'll direct this over to you, but they'll probably read this the same way, and they're, try to avoid it and wait on the overwhelming thought here is that everybody's trying to just defer to the General Assembly to weigh in.
Mm-hmm.
And that will, look, I don't know what the MTAS and CTAS leadership will say here, but we can send a letter, but it's up to you.
To me, it's just getting competing AG opinions is how I view it. And they've got nothing to say they're right, nothing to say they're wrong. And it's going to take case law, statutory change, before they can firmly say this is our position. They just don't agree. So I don't think we're going to force them into agreeing on how a city and a county are going to operate together.
So in your legal opinion, the final say would be a court case. You don't think the AG has the power to make that decision? The head of CTAS, MTAS has no power to do it. The governor has no power to do it.
They've got absolutely no authority.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great in an advisory capacity and helping think through and navigate certain issues, but it's not illegal. I can't cite them and say, other than some sort of supplemental cite. So,
because there are laws addressing this, correct? I mean,
this specific issue it's not on, that's the problem. And we're in this county's in some lawsuits because we're making law.
I'm not trying to cut. Do you have a motion you want to move with? We got a big old
I
package.
just have one other question.
Go ahead.
My understanding, there are no outstanding AG opinions that we're waiting for, is that correct?
I have not found any.
I've asked and I can't find any.
There, I know of none, and I don't think you know of any. What we're waiting on is the General Assembly, not an AG opinion yet.
There has been an AG opinion issued, and that was in one of your packets. And there's been no substantive change to the law that would change that AG opinion.
Not trying to squash anything, or maybe I am, but is there any further discussion on this? Go ahead.
He was willing to write a check if they agreed to his expedite bill.
For the record.
It's on page 24.
Got it.
That AG opinion is on page 24 of your thing.
Any other discussion here? Okay, so I'm gonna leave this. Actually, we had it was a motion, she withdrew, we had a motion and a second for discussion. What I'm gonna do, is I would like to strike, without, any objection, I would like to strike this, to be re-added in March, of 2024. So
Can I add on to that, to that, unless we receive new information?
Sure, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If unless new information, comes from either a court opinion or from the General Assembly. Got it.
Which we don't expect.
Right. Okay, this was a carryover 8553. This is a second reading for 8553 for the Liberty Creek Park project. We've discussed this a little bit. I know I've kind of had some thoughts on it, but it got the first reading. You're right, it did get deferred because we had a question about the ownership of the.
There was a question about it because I think the question was, what happens if you don't carry this over?
Yeah.
And Ms. Northway, she gave an answer. On page 35, she said this is used for the various items. It's not allowed to be claimed in the grant because we have this $100,000 here, which is for the original plans and designs. Then we have a $625,000 grant, a $125,000 local match, and a $500,000 donation is supposed to go from the William Brown Trust. So this is part of that. It's all lined up. She put the explanation of the entire project.
Yeah.
So if you don't carry it over, I'm not really sure the project's going to keep progressing, and I'm not sure what we'll have to do to unwind it.
I'll entertain a motion to approve. Anybody motion to approve? 85.
Should we send
I'm gonna make a motion to approve this, and I'm gonna have my objections to it. This is a bit of a sunk cost thing, but it's $8,500. Well, I guess I have one question. Do we expect any more little nickel and diamond out of this project? I mean, I just want somebody on record with this.
I don't really know because it's got a $625,000 grant with a 500 match and 125 local, so I don't, it's not far enough down the road. So I think that's a question, if we don't carry this over and there's not willing to, what we need to send an email to her, find out if we need to unwind it.
Well, no, if we don't, we would just have to, these little nickel and dime things, we'd have to take out a building. Building fund.
Your county building?
Yeah. So it's just, it's monies that weren't expended. They're just things that aren't covered under the grant, and this is what's left out of it.
And so what you're saying is you'd have to take the $8,500 out of,
Out of building maintenance.
okay.
So, I mean, we would still have to do the items, because we gotta fulfill the grant.
All right, so there's not, okay, that's actually helpful too. All right.
Who is in charge of this part?
It is a joint project between the county and the school system.
So who's in, is that what individual?
County Park Board or what?
It'd be the parks,
Is that an active board now?
Not really, they haven't met since they did that plan.
So no one's in charge.
So really, Kim would probably be running most of it with the school system. And I can follow up on that to clarify.
I hate to say this, but, no, I don't hate to say it. I've had an occasion to go out there a couple of times, and, the amount of money that has been spent on that campus is totally outrageous. I could have built 2 schools for what that one campus is, and I have been to my fair share of schools, and I've never seen another one quite like this one. I mean, I'm glad to have it now that it's done, but I think that we, as tight as things are in this county, employees wanting to pay raises and everything else on us, we could have built 2 schools for what one campus costs there, one high school. I wouldn't put another dime toward it.
Well, I don't think this is gonna get a motion, and I was about to make a motion. I don't think it'll get a second. I'm gonna leave this on here as opposed to just killing it, because I would really, I guess, just like to know who's in charge of it. That's a good question. So, can we just, Mr. Mayor, get an answer on, like, maybe some report from somebody, like, what do we need to do what's the total cost of this thing gonna be?
And so, could we get a breakdown of what?
Yeah, absolutely.
What the $600,000 has been spent on?
What's that? No, there's no second to discuss. Yeah, you're right. Good point. So, all right, we'll move on here. No second.
I
Okay.
just have one quick question.
Well, there's no.
Do we have shovels in the ground? Is this thing built?
We don't have a
with
second for
shovels?
discussion here. Motion for discussion?
Second.
Okay, we have a
I just
motion
wanna
and a second. There you go.
Do we have a shovel in the ground?
Something.
I
It's
just,
still in the planning phase.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So do you want it in the minutes for somebody to come back and?
Yes,
report?
we would.
Okay.
We would like that. Some kind of actual update on, like, what's going on there. Okay. Mr. Mayor, you had, and I forgot to do this, you had asked me to defer, item C, so I'm gonna go ahead and defer that, the 40,000 donation for the local assistance, so I'll defer that at your request unless you have objections.
No, sir.
Okay.
Please.
So item D, 104,000 for, rural fire departments, this is second reading, I'd entertain a motion.
I think we're fine. Eric, was you fine with the advertising? Because that was the question that came up earlier. Because the commission was moved after we advertised.
Oh, yeah,
It was moved forward a week, so it's actually saying that it's considered tonight. Do we need to approve this to go on to November re-advertising? If you look at your
will it really
advertising,
delay anything? I could argue the other side, but if we can go to November, that definitely clean things up.
the most cautious would be to re-advertise it.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
we can
what I'm
Let's
saying.
do that.
And what we're saying, because the commission date changed.
You don't need a motion to do that, right? We can just defer 1 month.
We do.
Do we need a motion, or can we just?
Well, you don't need it.
Well, I'll make a whole
You
business.
can
Let's
just don't do
let's
anything.
leave it on old business.
Yeah, okay.
So, thanks, Mr. Mansfield. I'm just getting back.
You just put out.
Yeah, well, it's still on, it's on both sides now.
Okay.
Yeah, just leave it there. Item E, county employee raises and salary adjustments, page 74 to 96. I'd entertain a motion.
You gotta make a choice on the health department. Is that the one you're looking at?
Yes.
Yeah, the health department, you have to choose one of 3 options. I don't know if Cal's here or not.
Is this the class 1, class 2, class 3 discussion?
Right, and 2 of them, if you pay them more on those DGA or those direct grant access employees for the state, then you actually have to make up the difference. So that's how
I'd entertain a motion for discussion here.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
In a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Vaughn, can you please give us a little detail on this?
There's 3 options, and probably Hal would be the best one to talk about it too. There's basically 3 different options. You can pay the DGA, and I think 2 of the options you really have to have a salary scale, which we don't truly have. And if you end up on your salary scale paying more, we have to make up the difference. So probably what you want to take the option where the state determines what the DGA employees are paying. Would that be the best? Well, you may want to ask Hal, make sure I'm not mistaken.
I take a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll make a motion.
In a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Sir?
This all was created in a big headache. Rutherford County had a 10% across-the-board salary increase.
Oh, man.
The state had to
Rutherford
come
County.
up with 10% for 60 employees. 90% of the 90% of the counties in the state follow state salaries. Because the state knows early what those salaries are gonna cost the state with this pass-through money. So class 1 says all salaries follow state. New hires come in, they will not receive longevity, because the state does not, pay longevity. They'll follow state salaries and state raises. Number 2 and 3 says if Sumner County wants to give a 5% raise and the state gives a 3%, the county's on the hook for that difference of 2%. So class 1 is really no more money going to cost the county anything. This is 100% pass-through anyway, with the DGA. But it's just following, what it does, it allows the finance department to the state to know, be ready to increase salaries across, all 40,000 employees.
Well, effectively, we pay 16% of the salaries in the state picks up.
100%.
DGA.
There's four county employees
Oh,
that are custodian, part-time nurse practitioner.
But they're not subject to these
No,
rules.
they would stay
Got it.
100% under the county because they're 100%
Got
county.
it. So when we think that
but
16%.
doesn't the health department get funded in great majority by the state?
Yeah, that's,
86%.
86.
86%, yeah.
So-
86%.
But that doesn't apply to salaries.
Yeah.
It does apply to
You
salaries.
got 2 groups, David. You've got grant access, which is 100% state, and then you've got 100% county. The 100% county is about equivalent to 14% of the total. This is only addressing that state money. If you don't take the state raises and we give more, we have to make up the difference.
Here's the comparison, my county, my approved county salary total, $153,000. My DGA salary, $1,000,008. My 4 employees compared to the 26, which is halfway, and the rest, 24 are state employees.
so I just want to get the interpretation right here. Class 1, there is zero, because this is 100% pass-through. There is zero liability possible from the county. Class 2, there is a potential liability. And class three, it's a potential liability as well. So I think that the answer is obvious to me.
Yeah, that's straightforward.
Okay. Do we have any other questions, or can we, I'm gonna bring us back into, our normal rules. Thank you, sir. Okay. So I would entertain a motion here for one of these options.
Make a motion on number one.
Second.
Motion and a second for item number one. Mr. Mansfield.
Molly, say number one or number three? What would you?
Number one's the one where you have no additional liability, you basically go by the state.
Yeah, I thought you said three originally, it's fine.
No, there's three options.
There's three options. We were recommending one.
Okay.
You're recommending the option where you go by the states now.
Item one, or, motion and a second. Any further discussion here? All in favor, and your motion is to, approve for, class one. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okey dokey. Got that one. So, item F, Sheriff's Office additional funding, SRO grant. We're ready. I would entertain a motion either for discussion or for approval. Ms. Boyd, would you like to do the honors here?
So, I would just like to make the motion for approval of the schedule as we presented it.
Okay.
The salary
The
schedule.
salary schedule.
Motion and a second. Okay, any discussion here? I'm gonna get into if there isn't any. Any discussion? Okay, so I've got, there is a request, and we can just debate whether or not we wanna do it, but there is a request from the Sheriff's Department, for some, I think, flexibility in, compensation changes for some individuals who I think, according to our analysis, are already either in line or perhaps ahead of similar market, but who would, according to the schedule per the sheriff, not be receiving any additional compensation. So I believe there is a request from the sheriff for an additional $150,000 for his to use at his jurisdiction. So, Mr. Sheriff, is that correct?
Yes, so the point was I was gonna ask for the remainder of the money. There was 4 divisions that did not get anything. And I have heard from all these people on those 4 divisions. And as sheriff, I have to try to fight for my employees. And so I'm just asking the committee to let us keep the remainder and build our own steps for the ones that were not given a step raise.
Got it.
We could send it back to you to do
Got it.
final word.
Got it. I'll go ahead and make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second.
I have discussion.
Well, I guess it would be an amendment to your motion. I'm gonna make that amendment to include that,
And I
we have a
can
second.
tell you
And then
why I'll
and
support that.
then there'll be some discussion here. Did you wanna get in queue to that, for that amendment?
For the discussion part, around discussion or amendment?
Well, you had a motion to approve as
Schedule
it, schedule as a stand. We made a motion to amend that schedule to include that, so we're on the amendment.
Then I would withdraw my amendment.
You would withdraw your motion?
You have the original motion.
Yes.
Then I would like to make a motion to approve the salary, what Ms. Boyd was gonna do, and add to what Sheriff Weatherford, and I can tell you some of my thoughts on that if you want, but, he's demonstrated, I can just tell you from my point of view, and I know.
I'll give you a second so we can have discussion.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, no, he's demonstrated to me, in the year that I've been here, that he's conservative with the money. He gives money back that he doesn't use. And you got other employees that, I call them behind the scenes people that you don't always see and talk with that, feel like he wants to compensate them for their work. And I think they deserve it, I mean, they're behind the scenes. We don't see what they do, but they do work.
I've got a question. Thank you, sir. I've got a question for Ms. Boyd and Ms. Swan here, and that is, what is the discrepancy between that? Because I think we're talking about maintenance people and clerical staff. What is the sheriff's maintenance? What is those classifications for the sheriff? versus where it's at with the county? I'm just interested in the
When we
difference.
looked at the maintenance, there was only 2 other departments that had maintenance, and his far surpassed the 2 other sheriff's
Do we have
departments.
a number?
And then also they far surpassed the county maintenance employee staff shifts. And it's the same thing, do you want to talk about maintenance, or we could talk about the mechanics?
Well, I'd like to understand both of those.
Well, on maintenance, we looked at maintenance, and there was only 2 other counties that actually had maintenance. Sorry, 1 other county that had maintenance in their sheriff's department. The low end of the scale was 2132. Their high max on a 12-step was 2651. Our maintenance people was 3180 and 3214. The sheriff's, the other county was like 2011 to 2143. Compared to 3180 to 3214, and then we went and looked at mechanics across the county, and the mechanics at the highway were 47,361, 47,840, 52,94, and 55,702. The sheriff ones were 62,211 plus a 12% hazard for both of them, and then the EMS was 40,684.80 with a 12% hazard. And then the main and the clerical was very similar compared to other counties. They were by and large higher, but they're a large group, and we didn't dissect them down because we didn't have enough data.
Okay, got it.
That's why we didn't include those particular groups. They were already.
I got it.
And if I can step in, there were some groups in the core employee group that also were above market that did not receive raises. So it wasn't only the non-core employees that didn't receive raises. There were a few groups that were over market that we didn't reduce anyone's pay, but they also didn't receive raises because they were above market when we looked. If we go looking at the non-core, we're going to have to compare them across the county. And we have, in this category, as Mr. Long went over, we have maintenance people that make less. We have clerical that make less.
Yeah.
So, but I do want to point out one group. There was the non-certified court employees, and we didn't look at those for one reason, because we thought they were being phased out. That one we did compare to other counties at all, because once we determined, we thought that we didn't spend. So I cannot tell you if those folks are above or below market. I want to say that right above.
So what? I'm gonna get my own. Is there any others? I've been looking down this way. Go ahead.
So, in their opinion, David and Commissioner Boyd. So what you're saying is we haven't really done a fair assessment of the rest of these employees to know if they're above market, with market, below market.
All of them except for the court security were looked at.
Yeah.
They weren't looked at because we thought they were being phased out. That was when we could go back and look at them. It'd be pretty easy to that's some requests. We have the data on those folks.
I think that would be helpful to look at that assessment.
And the clerical needs to be dissected further. Most of those appear to be pretty far market, but we don't have all their details. There's a whole group of clerical market. But we could tell as far as the mechanic and the maintenance that they were, we could compare them pretty far up into the market.
So I'm gonna get my own. Did you have any other comments, Ms. Boyd? I'm gonna get my own. Are there any others? So here's the. This is just. I'm wavering on this a little bit because I want to support it, but I've also this is the dilemma we're in, right? This is a very unique case in that we have additional funding that is was earmarked for SROs, but can logically draw a line to the sheriff's department. And so we're off cycle. Like typically, we wouldn't do any of this off cycle. So we have this specific funding that's earmarked for the sheriff's department. This ad hoc committee did an excellent job of comparing market rates for market-based salaries. However, we've also, what we have here is an imbalance in like versus like within the county. And I know I mentioned this earlier. Mr. Ellis has actually lost folks from highway. I know the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office his job is to worry about the sheriff, and Mr. Ellis's job is to worry. Highway superintendent's job is to worry about highway, and I understand that. Our job is to try to have some level of equity for like versus like positions. And, this discrepancy was already in place. We don't want to exacerbate it. I guess I'm contemplating seeing the raw amount of money here is not a ton. I mean, it's not insignificant, but it's not overwhelming. It's not the dollar amount that's the worry here. It's the equity within the county that I have to, that we have to weigh. I think I'm probably still comfortable with this, but I would just note here that to the Sheriff's Department, given that this is off cycle and given that we're bringing this group up, it is very likely during the next budget cycle that the Sheriff's Office on a percent-wise basis will not be receiving the same amount of increases that maybe some folks are who are under market now. So I just want to like be super clear about this.
Right?
Well, COLA raises, but really what we're trying to do here is rebalance something that's been out of whack. So I just want to be clear here that you guys are getting like an infusion in a little bit early, and to just lay that foundation. And I'll support it, but with some level of discomfort, because it is going to create some inequity throughout the county, and it's going to be on us to fix it, and then we're going to have to balance that to make sure that we aren't in a position where we're overspending.
And I
Mr.
give
Long?
clarification, your remaining employees, such as your deputies, jailers, they are conservatively at market, so if we're bringing them to market and we don't watch the cost of living, they're going to drag back below market.
No.
They bring this group above, but the overall group's not above market. They're barely reaching market again.
When we're saying that we don't anticipate them coming back and asking with the other group of people, I think where Mr. Long is, that yes, I do expect them to come back, because we brought them to market. We have 9 months of inflation. I anticipate they're going to get the same cost of living rate as all the other counties.
But what I'm saying is that like versus like within the county, some of the folks are currently not at market.
Non-jail, non-patrol.
Correct. Not like, because there's nobody in Mr. Ellis's organization that is like a patrol officer, but there are mechanics like versus like, and so those are the ones we're going to have to balance. So there's going to be not everybody's going to get a 2% or 4% or whatever it is.
And that's where the balance comes in at this point, because we looked at them all and we balanced across the way. And right now, the non-core and a few of the other core employees were at market or above market. So if we go in and we lay on this additional $190,000, we are creating more inequity between.
Well, I know, within the county, I acknowledge that. I'm acknowledging it.
So that is why I do not support this additional
$190,000
going to employees that we have closely examined that are at market. But we do anticipate that in 9 months, when we need to do what I saw was that our whole county needs a complete review.
Yeah, that's right.
Starting with the organization chart that we've discussed, and then building on job descriptions to see what people do, because back to your earlier comments, we don't know what people do.
Yeah. So,
and one other thing is this money is not earmarked. As we saw in other counties such as Rutherford, they just put it in the general fund and use it for whatever.
That's right.
So if we wanted to, we could go and look and find clerical or maintenance that are below market and bring them up with this money.
What you just said. Amend your motion.
Okay. Is there a second? And so and can you state that one?
I'm going to amend your motion to go back to approving the schedule as presented.
Schedule as presented, and then the
extra fund back into the general fund.
That we would, just to do with, however, what is it, $190,000?
My understanding is that you're saying these positions were already at market or above market, and so you're exacerbating the problem.
I get it.
So that's why I'm going to go back with the original.
I get it.
They spent 2 days working.
This is one of the keys.
I'm interpreting, and if I'm wrong, I'm just interpreting Sonny, Sheriff Weatherford. I kind of feel, please tell me if I'm wrong, that he's just wanting to kind of reward other employees that may feel like they,
Yeah, I mean.
from their point of view, they
That's
may
right.
feel like, well,
100%.
this group got an increase
100%.
today. The other group may interpret it as, they may have a bad taste in their mouth, I guess. I mean, can we do something?
I get it.
I mean, can we do something with that money?
We're willing to work on levels, but they would be small levels to where.
So, I think we probably need to go ahead and make your motion's on the table. I think we need to make some, but I want to go ahead and your amendment to this one, which is basically to just remove the change.
Well, it's just going, I'm just looking at the data of what,
Yeah.
The committee came up with, and the disparity there, and so, if we're exacerbating a problem,
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that I'm gonna trust. It was been a lot of accolades on what Commissioner Boyd did, and then we're kind of like undermining what she's done, so, yeah, I don't.
Can I make one comment?
Go ahead.
Real quick? If you are looking that way, there is a group that was left out because we thought they were being phased out, but if they're not, we don't know they're above market value. I cannot tell you. That one may be one we need to go back and definitely revisit. Your court security, non-certified. Because other counties had them, but my understanding was we removed them completely certified, so we didn't look at them. And we may have misinterpreted that, I'm not sure.
I'll get my motion.
Okay. Which is,
Can we defer this to next month and find out more information?
well, you defer the whole thing, or is
No,
that?
just this request.
You know what?
Because we're basically approving what's presented.
Okay.
This is still there.
Yeah, and so,
Technically,
well, yeah, you're approving what's presented, but I guess there would be, I think,
on the general fund.
yeah, I mean, I think you'd be approving what's presented, and then there's nothing that precludes
That's from coming back.
from coming back next month with further assessment. Okay,
Can we conduct something?
go make a comment, got it.
Can we also look at these other recommendations, because some of them are things, for instance, about budgeting the remainder of the year, because you don't want this huge budget variance.
Right,
And then also going.
I like this.
Yes, thank you.
And also
I like
getting an
this.
understanding to make sure the
I
sheriff's
like
okay
this.
with it, and there's a whole group of things.
I like this.
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
So we have a motion, did anybody second that motion? We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and now we need to be on the main, because that was an amendment, motion to approve as amended, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, do we need to waive a second reading?
Yes, and you'll probably also want to clarify our budgeting.
Yes.
Do you want to budget it based on these recommendations going October 23rd? That's their next payroll when it starts in
Yes,
October.
okay.
I'll make a
Side
motion
item.
to waive the second reading, as well as incorporating the suggestions from the law.
All right, good second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. All right, so, and thank you guys for that work again. Okay, we're moving now for new business. Education pending approval of Education Committee, I just discussed that during my comments, no further movement there. B1, appropriation carryover 20, go ahead.
These are the ones that were actually approved, not the.
Oh, sorry,
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
200, there's
That's
200,
right.
214.
Yep,
There's 2 amendments in there. 3 and 4 budget.
okay.
Just three and four.
The others were pulled out.
And were those approved?
Those were.
Okay, so we do need a motion here then. Okay, all in favor, is there a motion? We have a motion, we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Sorry about that, Bob. So, sorry, I had the other stuff on my brain. That's understandable. So B1, carryover from 2023 to 2024, Resource Authority and Education Bonds, page 270, 271. Mr. Lawing?
We have to estimate these in May and June, they're still spending, so we estimate them low. This is, the part of the funds that those bonds we did budget to make sure we don't overshoot it.
Okay, anything of note here?
They have to be spent on the Resource Authority, or it's gonna be a issue.
All right.
That's spent on schools.
All right, all in favor, or we need a motion? We have a motion to, approve.
Motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
I'm gonna vote no.
Okay, we have 2 no votes. We have, Mr. Mansfield and Ms. Miller. All good, all right.
Can we just discuss,
Well, we just have We already voted.
Good go.
So that's back next month for second.
Yeah, well, you're gonna get to discuss next month.
Yes.
Ms. Boyd. All right, new request, drug court, this is a grant pass-through, this is all pass-through fund 2A, correct?
We've had this one for
Yep.
several years.
I'd entertain a motion.
Move, so moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second, any discussion here? I went too fast last time.
This is on, B.
2A, drug court.
And we've had this grant for several years.
Yeah, it's,
We cover the.
all right, any discussion here? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All righty, motion carries. Sheriff's Office, grant for traffic saving, safety, 2BI. Mr. Lund? Yeah, this all passed through for both of them, right?
One is a training grant and one is.
I'd entertain a motion to group and approve, 1 and 2. Okay, we have a motion to group and approve B1 and 2 in a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, election commission, go ahead,
The
Mr.
first
Lund.
one still says general fund unassigned fund balance, but if you look at the actual transfer now comes from revenue, because that's a question we pose back to the election commission. Cities reimburse us for elections, so that first one should be a revenue source.
So this will be neutral. This will be revenue
The
neutral.
first one, number one.
All right, so I'd entertain a motion for C1I, or CI, 2CI only, because it is revenue neutral. I'd entertain. So moved.
Second.
And we have, motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. C2, Mr. Lawn.
That is one, she says there's a problem came up with the precinct, and it's attached to her explanation, as far as, that's what I was referring to. And she said, what I understand from the email, is this happened after the budget, and the issue.
So I don't understand this one, I guess.
So move for discussion.
All right, second, motion second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so we can discuss. Go ahead. Mr., do we have
I
anybody?
think I have a read on it.
Go ahead.
I don't know if I'm right or not. I believe one of her 29 precincts is not available for the election. And now she has to notify those voters that are going to that precinct that will be closed to go somewhere else. And I
So is this like a
believe,
mailer?
yes, I believe the 16,000 is the money she's using to notify those voters and to have new signage. When they get there, they gotta have a sign that says, we're closed, we're at our new location.
Okay.
That's my read on it.
And there's very little labor in there, if you look at it.
Yeah.
Very little travel, it's mainly postage, printing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Looks
That makes sense to me. Okay.
Repeat that again.
If you go down, if there's like $1,200, that's probably for people stuffing envelopes and printing it. It's very little, but most of it's postage, supplies, to actually print the cards is what it was like.
Question.
Go ahead.
Why did the precinct close? Where was the precinct?
She just got it.
Additional Galveston incentives, I don't know where.
It says APH declined to do it for 2024 and wasn't anticipated, so we're gonna have to move it. So apparently whoever they were using, don't let them,
What's APH?
I don't know, I said the precinct. It was just the precinct, she put APH, and it's something we didn't inquire about.
I like, not anticipated now in emergency.
She didn't anticipate on moving it during the year. Or she was planning to use this one, they come back and notify her she can't use it, so she's gonna have to send postage and cards, which makes.
I mean, here's the thing, it's maybe, we can argue this with good or bad planning, but clock is kind of ticking here. We don't want people to go into the wrong spot. We know that'll.
I make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All righty.
Can we, make a motion for waive the second reading?
Go ahead.
I do not understand what their emergency is, but they say it is, and I believe them.
All right, so we will redo this. The motion is with the waive second reading. Your second's there with it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Second reading is waived. Okay, this one was one that was added, B2D. This was a request from EMA, $7,100. So there was a drone that was destroyed during a pursuit of a dangerous individual. This drone is speaking with Mr. Widener here, we are going to be reimbursed, actually, I think, more than this.
Motion to
For,
approve.
okay,
These requests are actually appropriated from the EMPG at this point, though. There's a grant unless these change something.
we have a motion, I'll second it, just so we can be discussing, so go ahead, Mr. Long.
My understanding, based on his email, he's requesting to appropriate money out of the EMPG grant, which he has about, I think about 16,000.
Yeah.
But I think also, if you want to suspend the rules, Mr. Widener says the $7,100 has changed.
Okay, Mr. Widener, well, I suspend, motion to suspend, second, all in favor? Aye. Mr. Widener?
So, thank you, Commissioners. So, you can read the report, and what happened is basically a kidnapping and pursuit. Suspect threw the victim out of the vehicle and shot at Simpson County deputies. They pursued over into Allen County, Kentucky, and he ended up on a dead-end road. Well, KSP, Kentucky State Police, is aware that we have a very robust drone program, and they asked us to come up. We got called at 2:30 in the morning. We got there about 3, and before 4 a.m. we located the suspect vehicle, and then the suspect about 120 feet from the vehicle appeared to be in an ambush mode. He had made calls to 911 telling law enforcement to come on, he's going to kill them all. So during the process of flying this particular drone, and theoretically we can fly 24/7. The way we run, we're subject to things happening. If something happened, it either lost connectivity or had a battery issue, because we fly out, and when we get to 10 minutes of battery, the second drone goes up and replaces it. We bring them in, we put a hot battery on, put that battery on charge. So this drone sat down in the field behind the suspect vehicle. So during the course of the day, we asked the SRT, that's Kentucky State Police, PRT SWAT team, if they could recover our drone, but understanding that the bad guy was still in the woods and had a long gun, got a pistol long gun. And so when they went to retrieve it, they ran over it. And guess what they ran over with? A bear cat.
Well, if they wouldn't have had the bear cat, we'd still have the drone.
Right. But we want someone to do it right. So they also ran over one of their drones, literally crashed. So
were they just aiming for the drones? I mean,
no, I mean, it was bad, really bad.
I know, I'm joking about that.
Officers posted up on us to protect our teams. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So is there not anything that the Kentucky State Police can do to reimburse us? Or?
They are trying, okay? There are 2 lieutenants working on it. I got a call from our insurance provider, Subrogation, today, and when I explained everything to him, he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, that's in your field, okay? I've got a little different thought process on that. They are working to try to get one replaced, all right? But they've already cut a check, it's on the way.
Here's my
But
thought.
the total's not right.
Okay, well, okay, great, that's always great.
Yes.
But I just wanted to note here, I think several of us made comments about Bearcat, like, not getting used very often. The drones get used all the time. This is an instance of the drone used during an operation that was ended, I think, unfortunately, with loss of life, but fortunately, with no loss of life who didn't perhaps choose their own path. And so this was something that was used the way it's supposed to be used, and, what's the total amount here?
So the replacement on this is crazy, because the one we bought 2 years ago cost several $1,000s more than this one. They've upgraded them a little bit, but the new cost of the unit is $6,915 minus our deductible. So on affordable items like this, the deductible is $500. I'm going to struggle to move $500 around to get that covered, but they are sending a check for $6,415. It's probably on the way.
So you need $6,500. How much do you need?
I need $6,915 to buy.
$6,915. Okay, got it. Any other discussion?
Let me make one more comment if you don't mind. The bad guy shot the chief deputy from Simpson County. He may still be a Skyline. Bad arm injury. He played blade line, and they subsequently killed him. It wasn't a good situation, but he wasn't coming out. But he was in a cave when they shot him.
Shows his past.
And we needed to get a drone back in place last week. So if this, I'm gonna be out of town. I'm leaving for North Dakota anymore, all right? I'll be out of town for the meeting. My deputy director will be here for any questions on Monday night if it's going there. But we need to get, quite honestly, we need to get a drone
Waive the
quickly.
second reading, can I just change
Yeah.
it to waive the second reading?
Go ahead, we'll get this.
Whatever the guy got thrown out of the car, I'm sorry, the person that was kidnapped?
Yeah, broke up 1 foot or 2 feet. But yeah, she's okay. Okay. Yeah, they interviewed her through the course of the day, and she threw out on I-65.
Thank you, sir. All right, I think we're gonna go back to our rules here. I think we have the information we need.
Matt, I think what he's asking for is $6,450 appropriation for insurance coverage and $500 from the MPG to be deductible for a total of $6,914. You're gonna say $514.
6915 total. All right, got it. That makes sense. All right, so.
Motion to approve without
And a second. All right, motion and a second, no, to waive the second reading. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries
So that
unanimously.
goes Monday
It's
night.
gonna go Monday night. You're good. Thank you, sir.
Have a good time, North Dakota.
All righty. The next one is, $40,000 for a carpet, replacement for Gallatin Library. I'd entertain a motion.
Move.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Do you wanna raise second reading?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's do this again. Second.
I do have one item.
Go ahead.
If we waive the second reading, we're gonna have to get bids before it goes to commission, or how?
We don't need to wait a second, we get a bid, what she's saying.
Okay, got it. So it doesn't matter.
You need the first reading.
Then that's fine.
Right, that's what
That,
I'm looking
that
at.
makes sense.
Okay.
So you got the 40,000, you can bid up to that, and we don't need to waive the second reading. Tracking. Okay, move to, other items. So this is the Meraki, multi-year license. I'd entertain a motion here.
Can you explain why
Go
we're
ahead.
here?
Well, yes, but we need a motion either for discussion.
Motion for discussion.
Second.
Motion and a second for discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, Ms. Long.
You've got two things. If you have a multi-year contract where you have to pay something, the county commission has to pay it, approve it because only the county commission can appropriate funds. But you have another instance where if you prepay something and it's for a service, then the service is matched for the year it actually benefits. So, for instance, this Meraki has 5 years. We'll expense one this year and the other over the next 5 years. So we're actually creating future appropriations. That's why we're asking you to approve this.
Got it. And this is the one, I believe we had this discussion, during the budgeting process. Is this the one where we went out and searched for the new license? And wasn't this the cheapest option, I think, that the IT team?
I think all of Meraki has 5 years now. I don't
Yeah.
think they really have much of a
Yeah.
choice in it
Okay.
without paying a whole lot.
I remember a bit of this discussion, but, okay. So we have, any other discussion here, question? I entertain a motion.
So it's 12/3?
12-3. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion to approve? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Lightning strike. We may end up need to suspend the rules again on this one, but I'd entertain a motion for discussion.
So moved.
Motion and a second for discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Loring, can you give us an overview? We may need to suspend the rules on
He
this.
sent us an email that there's a lightning strike that did damage to the Music Mountain Tower, and I'm not sure the final disposition of that. We've got the EMA director here.
I'd like to entertain a motion to suspend the rules so we can.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
All in favor? Can you give us an overview,
Yes,
Mr.
September
White?
28th, we were working the bus crash in Portland. Bad thunderstorm came through, we took a lightning strike at Music Mountain. Understand we have 13 tower sites across the county, so it's a robust system. We took a strike, and we have had strikes in the past that were 197,000. Luckily, this one, it came in on the tower, and it is well grounded, and it was burning up parts and pieces down through, and it didn't get to all the base of the system. So we are at, for the communications, everything currently for the communication system, 51,148.22, and then for the generator repair, 2,267.85, and that's also been turned in to insurance with a $250.
So I want to get in my own cue here. I want to commend you for coming here with figures for for what you need for repair. I very much appreciate that. It's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing what's gonna happen when that happens. Is there any other question we have for Mr. Widener? Because I want to pay attention to what's about to happen here.
What I brought,
We'll probably
Yes.
It'd be great to
It would be great.
support documentation.
Yeah, supporting documentation, it's unbelievable, it's amazing.
What content?
I mean,
I only brought 6 copies of these, I can email whatever you need.
now pay attention to what's about to happen now. Pay attention to what's about to happen when we get
Yeah,
there.
and I'll talk to Justin.
There's gonna be something to learn.
They said keep it, we documented.
You didn't even have to make an announcement at a football game or anything.
We'll pass out flyers.
So, I think I'm gonna move us back into into our rules here. I entertain a motion to approve. Motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. Wow. Do we need to break second reading on that?
Yes, but we need to make sure it's insurance recovery for everything, 250.
That's fine. Okay.
Motion to approve. Waive
And waive the second reading. Do we have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
This is incredible. Even pictures.
Thank you. You have earned your trip, sir.
I'll go home, I'll get up.
All right, resources. I know I'd like to end it on that one, but we got one more that I'm sure is gonna be fun here. Resource Authority, future funding. Motion for I'd entertain a motion for discussion. Okay. All in favor? Okay. Mr. Long or Ms. Boyd, I think either one of you might wanna,
Well,
yeah.
it's been hanging out on budget for numerous months before I got here. For one, so I didn't bring it.
Are we talking about $100,000?
I believe it's that weird, we can talk about all of it.
The lightning strike.
So this item was on budget, has been for several months, so I didn't bring it today, it's been floating
Yeah.
through. So where we're at now is with the private act, as we've all talked about several times, we're 3/7 in, with 2/7 in Hendersonville and 2/7 in Galveston. We have contracts that the commission signed. We have a contract basically for, the tipping fees, so contract for tipping fees. We have a contract for maintaining the landfill. These contracts.
What are the tipping fees again?
Well, let's go ahead. I mean, it's all right. We're almost at the end. You know what? Go ahead. Ask the question.
Yeah.
You're out of order, but
So-
just answer, please.
So the tipping fees
We're
are when
close,
you
so
bring your, ton of garbage, we have special prices for different places. So pay as you go. So we have a contract that prior commission signed the tipping fee agreement that's between all 3 entities. The county's agreement was, we're gonna, I know, but it used to be different. In the beginning, this tipping fee from the county was basically a way to stop the bleed. Because when we had an energy plant there, we were losing a lot of money. At one point, this tipping fee was running, I saw numbers like $350,000. So what we would do back in the day, and maybe Mr. Hyde remembers, or maybe it went really quickly, is that the county's portion would just fix the loss. And the cities, my understanding, and I haven't looked at their books, were also kicking in to fix the loss, because that energy plant was bleeding money. So at this point, when we come to today, we still have a contract for the tipping fees. And it says that the county will pay $100,000, and we can bring all the trash we want. We got a one cost, $100,000, bring all the trash you want. But it turns out that we, the county, are, for a lot of, and this is non-schools, we have the dumpster outside the building here, and it's, the garbage people that come by, they put it in the truck, we pay them full rate. And they don't get our tipping fee. They go through and they pay tipping, they charge us full rate. A lot of our trash is that way. We do like, our maintenance guys here, when they do maintenance and they do rehab out at the, EMS or whatever, they put all their trash in the truck and they take it, they go through for free. They're on our $100,000 free pad. The jail, if they take over, the inmates go and pick up trash on the road, they take it over, they go through in our 100,000. We weren't getting our money's worth. We were probably, you know, really, if we had the same rates as everybody else, maybe 20,000 a year. So, but again, this whole thing was kind of set up to help the Resource Authority back in the day. The Resource Authority, at one of our last meetings, decided that they did not want to charge the county any more $100,000. So that just popped up. It wasn't, Chrissy's on the board with me, it wasn't discussed ahead of time. One of the Hendersonville members just said, hey, let's not charge the county anymore $100,000. And this is just within a couple of weeks ago. So it was a big surprise. We were happy. We're like, yeah, we'll vote for that. But basically, we have a contract. Yeah. And Gallatin and Hendersonville signed a contract that says that we'll pay $100,000. So whatever we were voting on there doesn't legally make sense to me. Because Hendersonville, the legislative bodies, along with our legislative body, made this contract. So I'm not sure that board can do that. So I just want to throw that out there. Even though that was discussed, I don't think they had the legal power because they're not the legislative bodies that signed this original contract.
So is there anything you're asking to be done here tonight?
No, like I said,
just informational?
This is informational.
Okay.
It's been rolling around for several months. And I'm just trying to bring some clarity since it's been rolling around. These contracts are out of date, but they are signed by the legislative bodies and not that board. They're out of date in that the tipping fees, I'm trying to remember the exact number. The tipping fee on it, it says for Hendersonville and Gallatin are $42 a ton, yet they pay $54 or something in that range. So they don't even pay what the rates say. So these contracts are not up to date, and they have to be signed by the legislative bodies. So in order to get all this right, we're going to have to come to an agreement with the Gallatin legislative body and the Hendersonville legislative body and our body.
Okay.
So I just want to bring clarity that we have work to do, and that's where we're at with that. And then there's the landfill piece. I just want to let you know that there's the landfill piece. We are all responsible. Right now, everything's good at the landfill. And Mr. I can talk about it hasn't always been good. We had CapScap out there with millions of dollars that we, the three entities, all had to contribute to. We are always responsible for those landfills. The maintenance, and if anything goes wrong, we have to pay. So just know that we've got these contracts that are not in good shape. And it's going to have to come together, and it'll have to be all of us.
Thank you, ma'am. Question?
Just to clarify, so the Commissioner Brown had a resolution on legislative that we picked around for months, and we tabled it last month. That's dealing with this. And
right.
Last month, after we tabled that, they took a vote to just remove the $100,000 obligation of county. But however, I mean, this is an interlocal agreement, correct?
Right.
So yeah, they can't just.
They can't do it for the same reason we couldn't just do it in the last meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever the contract.
We just had this discussion.
So it sounds like
a couple hours ago.
You know, something we need to come to the table to draft a new interlocal agreement, which I think Commissioner Brown will probably do for 6 months and legislative now. But it seems like we're back to that drawing board of doing that. You know.
And there's still more.
But wait.
But wait.
I mean, we are almost at
the end of this, but wait, there's more. So our Resource Authority lawyer, Mr. Moore, at one point told us that the private act does not reflect what the Resource Authority Board is, and it might need to be fine-tuned.
Right.
But that's what establishes the board.
Exactly. But as some other people at this table can tell you, it's hard to really get to the bottom of what's going on. But let me just put out there that the private act addresses an energy-producing factory, which is no longer there.
Okay. Did you have other questions?
Well, it sounds like a good time to send this back to legislative to resurrect what we just tabled. I mean,
well, yeah, I don't know if we can, but I don't know if, I think it's a different thing. This is like some kind of.
I'm talking about the interlocal agreement. in the contracts, the private acts, and revisiting all these things. I mean, unless we want to just keep some old business and deal with it.
Yeah, I don't think this is a budget thing at this point. It's a legislative thing.
Well, that's I'm saying, I think this needs to go to legislature, because we're talking about.
And honestly, I think we need to, like we did with the sheriff's salary, just do a little ad hoc committee and figure it out, and maybe even get.
Well, just the thing about, we can do whatever we want, and I think this needs to be discussed in legislative. Here's the thing about opening up contracts, though. You do that, and we have the devil we know. I'm not saying that we like the devil we know, but you open up a contract, it's the devil you don't know. But this is a discussion for legislative, not here. But, go ahead.
There is one more thing to clarify, so everybody's aware of what the future holds, budget-wise. Although we have a 10-year contract with Smith County to bring our trash over there, it has a 5-year look-back clause in it. And that comes up in about a year and a half. And at that point, those rates will be reset. Okay. So not only are our rates out, they're going to be way out. And again, we're going to have to go back to the table with the other legislative bodies and determine what to do. And then still, Hendersonville does not bring their trash there, but Gallatin does, and we don't utilize our 100,000.
Do we still have the issue of the landfill they're saying it's gonna be full?
Yeah, there's that too. And then again, at this point, there's 7 months of airspace in Smith County in that landfill. I spoke to the top of TDEC. They feel certain, hopefully, that the permits will be approved. If the permits are approved, we're heading into winter. There's issues with construction, building the cell, but they all feel like it's going to happen, but it's tight.
I don't want to kill this, but I mean, this is.
It's more than you need to know.
Yeah,
it's a mess.
I think
it's a lot of work.
So, is there any further questions? And look, I appreciate.
I just want you to understand the magnitude.
I'm going to make a motion that we move this to legislature.
Second.
Which basically revised what we tabled last month. So I mean, we're bringing that back. I mean, we're really bringing back a discussion on the resources.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, one motion left.
Next motion.
All in favor? Aye.